Matthew 11:28 was a verse I found at one of the darkest times in my life. At the time I found this verse, I was drowning daily in the cares of this world. I felt that I had lost everything that meant anything, and by the world's standards, I was right. See, I had achieved a lot in my life and watched it all evaporate in a matter of weeks, as my life seemed to spiral out of control. Everywhere I looked, the world seemed to be falling in around me. It was only at the very bottom of this spiral, after months of trying to get any sort of foothold on any sense of normalcy, that in desperation I decided to open an old dusty Bible that I had sitting on the shelf. I'd like to tell you that it fixed everything, and everything was perfect from that day forward, but that would not be the truth. See, what I learned when I turned to God's Word was that indeed there was a God, and that the promises He gives are true, but sadly I shaped God into what I wanted Him to be. See, I was convinced God wanted me to have the American dream. He wanted me to be happy over anything else, and to be successful in the world's eyes. And that was the yardstick by which I could measure my worth. He wasn't concerned about what I watched on TV, the secret thoughts in my head, or even the words that came out of my mouth, and whether they built up or tore down. No, all He cared about was my happiness, and whatever I thought would achieve that, He was in agreement with. Sadly, I realized many years later that lie is what most of us tell ourselves on a daily basis. I've had a lot of loss in my life over the last few years. I lost my grandfather, who I've now come to realize that he is gone is probably the glue that held our family together a lot of the time. The most difficult one, though, was the loss of my little brother a couple years ago. When he died, I lost a connection to the only person who understood parts of me that no one ever will. My brother had a difficult time in this life, and I would often find myself trying to let him know that God loved him. In a lot of ways, I'm giving this message to you because I cannot give it to him. The verse I started with in the beginning, Matthew 11:28, in this verse Jesus says, "Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest." The reason that verse is still with me today is because it's the only absolute truth I feel like is left. We live in a world that over the last few weeks has shown us all that what we thought was secure, whether that is our health, our job, our friends, family, our wealth, toilet paper, or even our freedoms, can be shaken to their very core. Every day I look around and see the world going crazy, and so many people are scared of everything because they feel like they have no control anymore. See, the thing is, we never did have control. That's an illusion, the lie of this world. And if our hope is in that, it can and will be taken from us. And by the way, if any of this sounds like you, then make no mistake, I believe God wanted you to hear this. See, all these things are very scary for someone who does not have any hope. But God is clear that those who put their faith in Jesus Christ have hope, no matter what happens to the world around them. There will come a day that each of us will leave this earth, and when we stand before God, very little of what we think is so important today will be of any value. The only thing that will matter at that time is what we have stored up in heaven. I believe Jesus was talking about people when He said in Matthew chapter 6, verse 20, "Store your treasures in heaven, where moths and rust cannot destroy, and thieves do not break in and steal." So on this Good Friday and Easter weekend, as the world continues in chaos and looks to the Easter bunny and candy sales, remember this was the day that Jesus was falsely accused, mocked, beaten, and crucified. Remember also, it was so you and I could have hope, that no matter what happens to the world around us, we have hope. No matter what is taken from us, we have hope. No matter how scary the world becomes, we have hope. The hope that when we stand before God, Jesus will speak for us, even though we don't deserve it. For God so loved the world that He gave His one and only Son, that whoever believes in Him shall not perish, but have everlasting life. That's John 3:16. God bless you all, and have a wonderful Easter.